to episode 55 of Talk Tantra to Me. It is such an honor to be holding space for this divine knowledge to make its way into your ears and lifestyle. Today I'm going to be guiding you through the concept of alchemizing your pain into purpose or pleasure. And to me, this is one of the pillars, one of the foundational pieces in creating a life that you love, one in which you are turned on by life itself. That being said, I'd love to use just a moment or two to address that this is one piece in creating the life that you love. And I'm actually going to be doing a free masterclass on January 4th that is going to be going into this topic of creating a life that you love on a deeper level. And I would love to invite you to join me in this experience, in this free masterclass. Again, it is on January 4th. 2022. Oh my God, we're in 2022. You can sign up at www.talktantratome.com/masterclass. So this masterclass is going to be for you if you feel that you've followed kind of the prescribed path to the American dream and are feeling less than dreamy, maybe a little bit uninspired, dried up, feeling like I did all the right things, but I'm not feeling like that joy, that juice, right? Or maybe you're an entrepreneur that's feeling, just burnt out by the demands of running a business, and you're just struggling to show up for yourself on top of the ones you love and the community that you're serving. So if you're feeling like there's got to be something more, then this free webinar is for you. In the webinar, I'll be teaching you kind of the basics of living a tantric lifestyle, which is dedicated to soul growth and co-creating with the universe. We'll also be talking about appreciating sexual energy as the fabric of our existence, the most powerful creative force in your body. We'll also be discussing, the basics of how we work through limiting beliefs, trauma, and societal conditionings so that we can really bring our deepest desires to fruition. And we'll also chat about transmuting painful experiences into purpose or pleasure, which we'll touch on today as well. And then we'll also chat about kind of becoming your own guru. We're stepping into this time that we get to touch in with ourselves and our own intuition and be our own leaders, which is a really powerful skill and another foundation of creating a life you love. So I definitely recommend that you sign up for this masterclass. It will be on January 4th. Right on time for all the New Year's resolution goodness. And if you can't make it live, no stress. The replay will be sent to anyone that signed up, so you can listen to it in your own time as well. So again, you can find the sign up for the free masterclass at www.talktantratome.com/masterclass. Okay. Now, getting into the topic of really alchemizing your pain into purpose and or pleasure. So this concept really works for all levels of quote-unquote painful experiences, whether the pain is something like an inconvenience or it's like a really severe loss or traumatic experience. So we'll start with the topic of like the universe giving inconveniences, because we all experience these on a daily basis, and I think it's really fun to look at these inconveniences as an opportunity to trust. Opportunity to trust. An example might be having a flight delayed, or running out of milk for your tea, or stubbing your toe. Just like things that are like, this isn't the end of the world, but like, fucking hell, what the fuck? Excuse my my cursing. But you get the point. It's like, what the fuck? Like, this is not ideal, right? And we can kind of shift that into what I call an opportunity of trust. Little things, we often take them super personally. We've all done it. We've all been the Karen, and we've all witnessed the Karen that takes it way too personally. And I think just generally speaking, like, a lot of how deeply we take these little opportunities personally really depends on like what's going on in our personal lives, in our day-to-day, in our businesses, whatever. I know that like if I'm not taking care of myself on like a base level, or if it just feels like the universe just piling it up, I'll turn into that Karen much more quickly. But there's some people that live in a perpetual state of Karen, which is really sad. And I'm going to be talking about how to get out of the Karen and maybe become a, what's a good another word for Karen? How to become an alchemist, a witch, a magician, how to embody your highest self. So often these little inconveniences end up being like triggers for deeply rooted wounding, and this is really to protect itself. The wound wants to protect itself from everything that's going on around. Oftentimes when we're triggered, what happens is our brain immediately takes us back to the moment in which that trigger originated, which is usually in a moment that we are much, much, much less mature than what we currently are, right? So childhood or in some element of what looks like childhood. So we literally become children when we're triggered. So you relate to that? I know I do. I do this all the time. I'll be like, oh my God, I'm acting like a child. It's probably because I'm being triggered to a childhood experience. And that's an opportunity to look back, which we'll get into that deeper, but to see what the wounding is there. But at the very least, we can look at this as an opportunity to trust. And on like a grand scale of things, talking about something like a flight being delayed, there are a lot of people that were involved in the 9/11 attacks that actually worked in the Twin Towers. And you hear these stories about these individuals that they worked in the Twin Towers and they just happened to be running late that day because their kid was being slow or like their alarm clock didn't go off or whatever. And they were like so frustrated because they were running late. And then like, holy shit, that running late, that inconvenience saved their life, literally. And I'm not saying that that's like how it is every time your flight is delayed or when you stub your toe or whatever, but it could be. Maybe you could trust that the universe did that or put that obstacle in your awareness for a reason. If you stub your toe, maybe it's to say, hey, like be a little bit more careful with your body. Like this is one little, sign that we're giving you that like you need to be more aware of the space around you because this time you stubbed your toe, but next time you might accidentally stab yourself in the gut or cut your finger off or, whatever it is. Maybe you run out of milk and it's like, maybe your body actually doesn't need milk that day. Maybe it needs fruit and water instead. And this is just a gentle way for the universe to guide you right back on course. So just taking it as an opportunity to trust. What could be the lesson in this? What could be the way that the universe is guiding you towards something else? And then again, taking that a step further, you could also use this inconvenience as an opportunity to witness your reaction. What I mean by this is acknowledging that this trigger is an opportunity to heal whatever lays underneath of it. And that goes back to this idea of looking at whenever you're triggered by some inconvenience, you often go into a childlike response or an immature response. And that the reason is because it's bringing you back to a traumatic experience that your brain is being reminded of. Even if the experience that you're having looks nothing like the trauma that that is being associated with this trigger, even just like the slightest way that your brain might like find like the wiring is the same, can bring you back into that space. So for example, like, I'll use an example from my personal life. And it's a little bit sexual and not in a sexy way though. But I feel like it's a really good example because, so I once had this partner that was massaging my back and started to get really close to my lower back area, my butt area. And I immediately tensed up really bad, which is like, you're giving me like a really nice massage. That doesn't make any sense, right? That would happen. But what happened in my brain was that I was being reminded of a time that I was sexually assaulted while I was, on my stomach. And so you can see how getting a massage is like not really at all related to my sexual assault, but because of the way the hands were moving on my lower back, it brought me right back into that trigger. So it's also being open to see, like, you might not even be able to figure out what the original trauma was, but seeing like, oh, there's some healing that could happen there, and how can I use this opportunity to come back to that? And for me, that experience with the massage was a moment for me to like communicate with my new partner to say, ooh, I'm having this moment. Can we like have a pause and like connect on this? Like I wanna bring this out. I wanna remind my body that I'm safe, that I'm not in danger in this moment, that this is a good thing, getting a massage, all the great stuff. So again, acknowledging that the trigger is an opportunity to heal whatever is laying underneath of that. Being also able to see like maybe this trigger is showing you, maybe there's an attachment that you have that is no longer healthy. If it's like a flight being rescheduled, canceled, whatever, do you have an attachment to the time or the schedule or the need to control, which is a huge thing for me. I have a huge trauma response around feeling in control of my schedule and my surroundings. Or maybe it's a frustration with lack. If you're running out of milk for the tea, maybe it's this idea that you're being triggered back to when you were a kid and, your older siblings would always eat all the good food, or maybe you didn't have enough food in your house and it's bringing you back into that moment. So just being aware of where that might be coming from. And then to take it even a step further, the universe could be gifting you this opportunity to be an inspiration or a teacher for others and how to overcome this pain or inconvenience. And that's really the beauty of, I think, social media in this time when people are being like really authentic about what is going on in their world. To be like, look, like this is like real, like I'm triggered all the fucking time and it's okay. Like we can ask questions about it. We can like team up with our wounded self and like get ourselves feeling good, regulating our nervous system. The other day, currently I'm in the process of moving and my apartment is like a fucking wreck. I'm also really processing this end of a chapter, and it's been really emotional, much more emotional than I thought it was going to be, and I just don't really feel at home in my home anymore. And instead of just like kind of going quiet on social media, I was like, I'm going to post a photo of me dancing in like my mismatched clothes because most of my stuff is packed and there's boxes all over. It's not my normal aesthetically designed like temple room. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing to like offer to all of you listening, because I truly believe that everyone listening here is a light worker in one way or another. You're meant to bring light into this world, to give people opportunities to be their authentic, vulnerable selves and to heal. And it sounds really small, but it's giving people permission to feel, right? Now, that was like a minor inconvenience example, but this goes across the board. An opportunity to trust that the universe is more than a collection of coincidences. If you're not like game to be a conscious creator with your reality, you may miss the simple beauties, the simple surprises that the universe gives you along the way. And that's a bummer. Don't miss those. An example is my partner and I got COVID in these weeks coming up to the holidays, and it kind of derailed our whole plans. It derailed our move, which was really a bummer. And we were supposed to leave a few days ago, but because we didn't, I happened to be driving and I needed to fill up our car. Which, by the way, I'm much better, testing negative, all good on the COVID front. My partner is still struggling a bit, but I had to stop and get gas. And I noticed that I stopped right beside this vegan pastry shop that I've been wanting to go to for like literally since I moved to LA, and it's just like a little bit out of the way, so I never made it. And I was like, oh my God, I finally get to go, which I wouldn't have been able to go if all of our plans would have gone through as they were supposed to. And I mean, going to the shop is like a small joy compared to like, being able to follow through with plans, but like, I'm going to relish in that, right? I'm going to relish in that and see that the universe is trying to make it up to me a little bit, and that there's likely more of this coming if I stay open. Okay, so stay open. Now, let's take this a bit deeper, to deeper trauma or greater energetic blocks. So trauma is a guarantee in the human experience. We are fragile creatures living in a complex world. But what if I told you that your trauma was your training? Your trauma is your training. Do you think it's possible to trust your trauma? And I'm not saying not to feel your feelings. Do not skip over the feel your feelings part. Do not skip over the grieving. Do not skip over the pain. Go into that deeply, embrace it, be in it, because if you don't, that's what's going to cause an energetic block happening over time, which I'll go into more deeply in the masterclass. But at the same time, how can you use this experience, again, to bring light to others, to give other people permission to heal? We all signed up for this human experience to grow through things, to learn. We're here to give to the world, but also to receive. What are you learning in this moment that can set you up to radically be in service of yourself and your purpose? For me, I talk a lot about sexual trauma that I had, and it's very clear that I went through that to be doing what I'm doing now, to be working with other survivors of sexual assault or sexual abuse or sexual shame or trauma or whatever. I grew up in a home that was quite conservative, in a very conservative part of the country, so that I could understand the conditioning on such a deep level that I could reach the people that needed the healing. It wasn't fun for me to feel a lot of shame around my sexuality. That wasn't great. I didn't love that. But in retrospect, zoomed out, I survived, and then I moved through the patterns that I was given by society, by my parents, by religion. I was able to take that and say, okay, that sucked, but there's a way to shift this to go from survive to thrive. And now I get to share that with all of you. And this applies to, in my opinion, any kind of trauma. My parents were divorced at a young age when I was young. They were also young. My mom had me when she was 21. She had my sister when she was 19, so she was a teen mom. And my parents got divorced when she was 24, so I was 3. And there was throughout the years, it was very complex, custody battles. I didn't talk to my mom for 7 years. Lots of icky stuff. But it made me a really, really independent person. And I know that if I hadn't learned to be so self-sufficient because of all the drama that my parents were dealing with, I wouldn't have left and gone to a big city when I was 18 and experienced such a diverse world. I wouldn't have traveled the world on my own at 22. I wouldn't have been to almost 50 countries at this point. And it's not to say that I couldn't have done that if I didn't have that experience, but I know how emotionally attached I get to people and how important it was for me to kind of have a bit of hyper independence for a while so that I could mature a different part of myself. And I'm speaking about highly personal examples, but if you look at all of the successful people, pretty much every successful person that you could possibly think of has experienced some intensely traumatic shit. And what beauty is that they are able to conquer and to say that even though you've had a shitty fucking time, you can still be turned on by life itself. You can turn that pain into a purpose. You can even turn it into pleasure. So I'm going to leave it there for today because I have another offering for you that's going to allow you to go even deeper into this juicy concept of alchemizing pain into pleasure. I am launching a course called Turned On by Life. It is a 4-month tantric journey for the art of living. It is going to be a 4-month group coaching journey to take you from wanting, wishing, and waiting to being turned on by life itself. We use the Kundalini chakra system as a roadmap to create a tantric lifestyle, exploring spiritual intimacy, embodiment, mindset, and artistic expression. This course encourages you to dismantle limiting beliefs and societal conditionings, empowering you to reclaim the most powerful creative force in your body, your sexual energy. Harnessing this inner power for a pleasure-filled life that feels so juicy, you are left overflowing with purposeful desire. So this is really for you to get connected back to this idea of feeling safe to pursue and receive your deepest desires. I'm going to show you how to embody that. It's about living an abundant, pleasurable, and purposeful life because it's your birthright, and this is your chance to claim it by creating it. And anything less than living in your soul purpose, it just is a disservice to yourself and the world. We're going to light that fire and help you express this passion. Use your passion to fuel your purpose. We're also going to be talking about the heart, how heartbreak is an initiation into deeper self-love, into deeper self-knowing. And I'm going to guide you in transmuting your greatest pain points. Your truth is also going to be something that we're going to discuss in this container. It's not only worthy of being heard, it is your duty to share authentically and to show others what is possible. We're also going to be working a lot with the third eye, connecting to the fact that all the answers are within, going back to that idea that you are your own guru, teacher, and guide. I'm going to show you how I learned to listen to myself and to take action based on trust. This is a really exciting opportunity to create a life you love with a group of beautiful, like-minded souls. Again, it's a 4-month container, and you can get all the details, including the curriculum, the class schedule, what each of the modules include at www.talktantratome/turned-on. Really excited to be having this container. This is the first time that I'm offering something like this. It is also at an incredibly affordable price point. It is the most affordable coaching I have offered to date. And I also offer a VIP option with this course so that you can also add on some one-to-one coaching, but there will be group coaching, and everyone will have kind of a chance to express themselves in that container as well. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Would love to have you in this container. That being said, I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode, for opening yourself up to the idea of sacred sexuality. If this podcast resonates with you, I'd love to hear it in the reviews. It means the world to me to hear your perspective. And your reviews also help this podcast become a bit more relevant in search results, which means that more people are able to benefit from the wisdom of spiritual intimacy. And if you'd like to take an even more proactive role in awakening the collective to sacred sexuality, I'd love it if you screenshotted this episode and shared it on your social media. And if you do so, please tag me so that I can thank you personally. With so much gratitude and love, have a sexy and spiritual day. And I'll catch you next week on Talk Tantra to Me. Ta-ta!